Alright, before we start this video, I'm just challenging you guys, the viewers of my video. Drop a question below. I've been wanting to do a question and answer video for a long time. If you have any questions about me or about anything really, about fishing, life, anything, drop them below. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Make them funny, make them silly, but make some serious because I like answering questions. So leave your questions and I'll answer in the next video or 2 videos from now. So let's get into today's video. What is up, guys? Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a sit down video where I maybe teach you guys a thing or two. So I was sitting here wondering what should I do for today's video. I didn't go fishing today. I went to visit family, so I couldn't go fishing. But I wanted to put out a video tonight, so I came up with the idea to make 10 tips to help you guys catch more fish. This is just a list that I sat down, thought about, and typed out. It's basically 10 tips to give you guys and to give myself to catch more fish, both when you're on water and when you're off water. I know the off water part sounds a little bit weird, but personally I believe that the preparation you put into fishing, the research and like the surveying that you do before you actually make a cast can sometimes pay out more than actually executing that cast or executing that hook set. So let's just go through my 10 things, my 10 tips to give you guys to catch more fish in the 2017 fishing season. So let's get right into it. Number 1 or number 10. I would say check your drag periodically. I couldn't tell you how many times I went to set the hook on a fish and my drag was just too loose, especially when it's the first hook set. My drag was just too loose to get the correct hook set and that fish gets away. Or vice versa, when I hook into a nice fish and my drag is just way too tight and he starts pulling and my line breaks. It happens a lot. Your drag is important. That's why it's there. You have to make sure it's adjusted tight enough to where you can get that hook set, but loose enough to the point where the fish won't just take off with your line and break your knot or your line. With that being said, sometimes you have to adjust your drag during a fight. So don't think that your drag is set and it's just done. Always be open to adjusting your drag. All the time when I throw out and I hook into a fish and it feels nice, first thing I do, loosen up my drag. First thing I do, because I know if that fish makes a good run and my drag's tight, he's going to break my knot or he's going to break my line. But if my drag's loose, he's going to pull line out and I'll be able to land that fish successfully. Alright, number 2. This goes on the off of the water type thing. And 2 and 3 kind of go together, so we'll just bundle those back to back. But number 2 is always survey the water. Your research and the thinking that you do before you make a cast is way more important than actually making a cast, at least in my opinion. If you see wind blowing this way and you thinking that the bait fish are going to be moving with the wind because the microscopic life forms are going to be pushed with that water that the wind is pushing, so the bait fish are going to move and therefore the bass are going to move. So if you see wind coming, you might throw where the wind's going. If it's sunny out, you might fish shade lines. I mean, weather determines bass's feeding patterns, so you have to survey the water. And then to go with that, number 3, to go right along with surveying water, is always keep your head on a swivel, because weather patterns can change. Winds can change, the sun can change, everything changes. And along with that, you have to watch what's happening that day. I have gone out on the river fishing, on the creek fishing, and been throwing an Old Faithful Senkos and not been catching anything. But every step, I'm walking and spooking up crawfish. Every step. So I'm thinking, you know, the crawfish are out today. So you throw in a crawfish imitation and bam, you start catching fish. You have to watch. If you see crawfish claws or if you see floating dead shad, like regurgitated shad, you have to match the hatch. That's a big thing in fishing industry. Match the hatch. So if you see crawfish out or dead crawfish parts, throw a crawfish. If you see dead shad parts or dead shads out, if you see bass chasing shad, obviously throw shad imitation. Just watch what's going on in the water, in the ecosystem, and try to match that, because that's what's going to catch you the most fish. Number 4 is to check your hooks periodically. Whether it's just a normal worm hook like this or a drop shot hook, any kind of hook you're using, these hooks can get dull and they can bend. I mean, I'll show you right now. You get a good fish on there, that hook can bend. You get a good fish on that hook and bend. So you don't want to be fishing with a bent hook. That hook's useless now. But you don't want to be fishing with a bent hook. You want to have a straight shank hook and you want to have a sharp hook. So if your hook's getting dull, you might not be getting the best hook sets. And if your hook is not the shape that it's designed to be, it's designed to get those hook sets. There are engineers who went to college studying the various forces to get you those hook sets, believe it or not. So trust the design of the hooks. If it's bent, discard the hook, put a new hook on, and you'll get a lot better hookups. 5, seems kind of intuitive, but a lot of people forget it. Know the weather before you go out. I'm a big perpetrator of this rule. I am a hypocrite when it comes to this rule. I will go fishing no matter what. It could be 12 degrees and raining and snowing. I will still go fishing. That's really not doing you any good, because most times if you don't want to be fishing, fish won't be biting. I know that you can catch fish in rain and you can catch fish in the cold, I know, but you have to know the weather before you go fishing. You have ideal weather conditions to catch fish. We all know what that is. Whether it's windy, whether you catch fish on wind-blown banks, whether it's sun, fish in the shade lines, you know what weather you like to fish in. So when you see that weather, go fishing in that weather. Know what you're going to throw in that weather. Plus, your baits depend on the weather. So know what to throw for what weather in the waters you're fishing. 6, this is just a quick tip on colors. It's not a live all, die all tip. You can change and stray from this tip, but it's a pretty good tip. The tip is just, if your water's clear, throw natural colors like green pumpkin. If your water's dirty, throw dark or bright colors like black and blue, black and purple, chartreuse, because you're going to need something to get that fish to see it in dirty water. So the darkness is going to really highlight the silhouette of that bait, and the brightness is obviously going to help this fish see it better. But when it's clear, you don't need anything fancy. Natural colors, because the fish are going to be sight feeding, so you want it to be natural. You want it to be something that they're used to seeing, a color that they're used to seeing. Number 7, take your time when you're rigging and tying knots. I do this a lot. If I just missed a nice fish or something and I re-rig and I'm retying a knot, I will just skim through it, do it as quickly as I can so I can get my line back in the water, and then the next hookup I have, the fish comes off because my knot was not tied correctly. So if you just take your time to tie your knots, check your line, make sure there's no frays in it, check your rigs to make sure they're rigged correctly. Like, I want to show you like the difference here. So you're Texas rigging a Senko, okay? If you just throw it on there quickly like this, that's not what you want, okay? You're not rigging that correctly. You want it to be nice and straight, because that's what provides that action of that bait. So you want to make sure that you're rigging it correctly to the point where it's nice and straight, nice and flat. No matter what kind of rig or knot you're doing, just take your time tying the rig, tying the knot, and do it correctly, because that's going to pay off in more fish than just quickly doing the knot and skipping through it. Tip number 8 is not to be stubborn as a fisherman. For example, I'm a finesse guy. I like to throw soft plastics. I almost live by soft plastics, but some days when I go out fishing with my buddies, they'll be throwing power fish and stuff, you know, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, and they'll be slaying fish, and I'll be catching anything. I'm like, can't be stubborn. If you think that fish are going to be biting on soft plastics, the fish don't give a damn. They could bite on whatever they want to. If they don't want to bite on yours, but they want to bite on a crankbait, or if they don't want to bite on a crankbait, but they want to bite on a Senko, you have to give the fish what they want. So don't be stubborn. Don't be going out there thinking that you're going to throw one thing exclusively. If the fish are biting on something, you have to throw what they're biting on. Sometimes the hard part is finding out what they're biting on, but if you know what they're biting on, throw it. Don't be stubborn and throw something that you want to catch a fish on, okay? Unless maybe it's a challenge video, then that's fine. That's just awesome. Number 9 is think before you cast. Casting location is a big thing. You can't just cast blindly and catch fish. I mean, you can, but most times if you think and you look and you survey the water and you say, oh, I would think there's a fish here because, you know, there's some current here that leads into an eddy and a low back pool, and the fish are going to be there feeding on minnows coming in from that current. So you're going to cast in that current and let it drift down. The fish are going to, you know, naturally attack it because they think it's food coming to them. But if you just cast out and say like, oh, I'm just going to cast across the creek, you might be casting into 2 inches of water. You never know. So you have to kind of survey your water and think before you cast. I almost never cast blindly. Every cast I take is in an area that I think there's going to be fish there, because that's my goal, is to catch fish. So always think before you cast, and make your cast to a point where you think there's going to be fish and to a point where you think you can catch fish. And number 10, this is just like an overall tip in fishing, is always stay calm. It's fishing. I mean, I know when you're tournament fishing especially, it can get heated and it gets really exciting, but just stay calm. You're gonna execute in any sport, in any life thing. You're gonna execute better when you're calm. We've all seen the video of Perrick missing that 10-pounder and just like losing his shit and throwing stuff everywhere. I mean, yeah, it happens. You get angry, but you know, don't do that. Just stay calm. Losing your shit never like helps you catch any more fish. And like I've done that too, Perrick. I've lost big fish and lost my shit, but it doesn't help, you know. I would stay calm, cast back in, think about where the fish are going to be, where they're located at, where that fish might relocate to, and try to cast in and catch that fish you just missed. especially when you're not catching anything, this comes into play. I mean, people can just be pissed off when they're not catching anything and just completely just boycott fishing. But don't. Stay calm, grind it out, try to find the fish and try to catch the fish, because just because you're not catching them doesn't mean they're there. They might be hitting on something else. You might not be throwing the right thing. So just stay calm, stay relaxed, focus, think, and go out and catch some bass. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope at least some of these tips will help you to catch more bass in the 2017 year. If you guys have any tips for me, or if you have any tips that you really like for my list, give it a thumbs up and tell me about it in the comment below. I'd love to hear what you guys have tips for me, and maybe I can learn a thing or two. Or if you guys really agree with some of these, let me know I'm doing something right, alright? Thank you guys for watching. Hope you learned something from today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay angling from every angle, and always know that the tug is the one and only drug that you should be doing, because drugs are bad. We'll see you later.